Hello and welcome to Do the Impossible with Jason and Stephen, the podcast that seeks to inspire and amaze you. And now please welcome your hosts, Jason Michaels and Stephen Bargatze. All right, welcome back everybody. This is the Do the Impossible podcast with Jason and Stephen. My name is Jason Michaels.
I'm Stephen. What's the odds of that if he's Jason?
The man who always makes me laugh. Oh, goodness. How are you?
I'm about the same as I was last week.
It's funny. Last week seems like it was so just a few minutes ago. Yeah. And it was just a few minutes ago, actually. I meant to change shirts, but we were gonna try to make this seem like we did it several weeks in a row.
Just remember the old guy remembered and changed his shirt.
Dadgummit. All right. Well, anyway. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to episode 2 of the Do the Impossible podcast, where we strive to tell stories of people who have overcome impossible challenges and help you inspire you to live bigger, bolder lives. So what is the news of the day? Oh, so we played golf the other day. You want to talk about things that are impossible? My God, dude, I lost.
Him getting out of a sand trap.
I can't get out of the sand. I lost 6 strokes in 2 sand traps. 2 sand traps, 6 strokes. That is, to anybody who doesn't play golf, that is pretty unbelievable. And anybody who does play golf, just take me to a course that doesn't have sand traps, because oh God.
And that's counting 1 stroke for grabbing it and throwing it out. I really think that's more than 1 stroke.
Yeah, it should be more than 1 stroke. I lost at least half a dozen balls. We had a blast playing golf yesterday with your son Nate. He invited you because you recently had a birthday.
That's right. And my other son Derek bought me some way expensive golf balls that I can't afford, but I love them. We want to thank our sponsor, Callaway.
Do we have a sponsor?
No, but I know it'll freak everybody out that's listening to this going, they got sponsors in the second show?
How did that happen?
I like the Callaway Soft, the one that looks like soccer balls. And on the first hole, I lost 2 of them. The brand new ones.
I lost at least half a dozen golf balls yesterday.
But believe me, guys, I can play golf. We can play golf. I shot a 79 and 81 in the last 2 rounds at my course, and then we go Nathan's. He's got this course. I just can't. Their women tees is longer than mine, and then our course, regular tees. Yeah. So, but it got us. It got me.
Yeah, I used to think I could play golf until I played at that golf course. Oh, God. You want to talk about things that feel impossible. I am usually a very mild-mannered. I mean, I get fired up occasionally, but I'm usually pretty chill. I was so hot yesterday. I know you were. Now, you got to give me a little bit of credit, because I used to lose my mind. I mean, I'm talking about just used to go ballistic, and I've toned it down a bit, but
we had to have the talk. Right? So, Jason, I play golf to relax, not to be hitting some guy lose his mind. That's right. Just say stuff. You think his Tourette's is bad now? Wait till you're on the court. And I go. That's got to stop.
There is that type of Tourette's that makes you curse, and my golf Tourette's is really bad. So. But anyway, I toned it down, and I definitely got. I was so frustrated yesterday. But anyway, that's not what this podcast is about. This isn't a golf podcast. This is a podcast about overcoming impossible challenges and just enjoying each other's company. So our first episode was a lot of fun. You interviewed me. And I think it's important for our first couple of episodes for the listeners to get to know us, who we are, and why we're doing a podcast about this subject, and why we're doing a podcast at all.
Right.
But
I have that same question.
Yeah, you were wondering yourself. You're like, you want to do a what?
I'm doing this. So, I mean, this is Saturday morning. I was, going to be watching what's on football today or something.
Hey, we still got time.
Has a basketball game later.
Oh, that'll be fun. Today, we're going to get to know you a little bit deeper. So instead of short little introductions, we'll dive deeper. And so let's just go straight to it. Let's learn about Stephen Bargatze, how you became the performer that you are, why you started talking and telling your story of overcoming adversity, and so. Tell us. Let's start with the magic, because that's how I got to know you. I knew you, and you don't know this, but in one of my talks, I tell the story of walking into a magic shop, which you know, that magic shop, the Abracadabra, which used to be out by the Nashville airport 20-something years ago. And Gary Hayes owned it. And I walked in there, and you were on the side where the door wasn't. You were on the other side of the shop, and it was you and two people, and I'm not completely sure who it is, but I think it may have been Richard Street and one other person. And you were doing a card trick, and I was just kind of like looking at the glass cases, but I was kind of like looking out of the corner of my eye, because that's, when you're a young magician or someone who's wanting to become a magician, and you see real magicians doing magic, like it's a little bit, you don't want to go up and like introduce yourself, but you want to see what they're doing. So I remember you were doing, I didn't see it well, but I remember you were doing a card trick, and I remember that the two people who were watching you were like, oh my gosh, that was great. And they kind of freaked out, and I was just like, that is what I want to do. And so that was the first, and we didn't really meet. It was just me. I remember that it was you though, because I want to say it was you, Richard Street, and I can't remember the third person, but I remember the two because I remember meeting you later on. And so that was my first impression of you. So how did you get into magic?
It's hard to do that without doing the whole...
the whole talk?
Yeah, I mean, it's in one way. But I've thought about this since our last podcast and stuff, and this might be where we lose a lot of people, but I think, you said find out about Steve Bargatze. Because it's so much a part of my story. I am a believer.
You're a Christian.
I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ.
As am I.
Yep. And I believe he's the only way. And sometimes that offends a lot of people. And I don't mean it as, I believe that you have the right to believe what you want. But if my faith is what it is, then... And my faith says Jesus Christ, that I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man goes to the Father except through me. If that's my belief, and that's what I read in my Bible, then I have to hold that. I can't say, well, but except for this and this and this, other faith. I think other faiths, you got a right to believe in other faiths and stuff. Same way as I do mine, I will... give you respect, and I'm glad, and it's great that you can live in the U.S. of A. where we can have different views.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And but just so you know who you're listening to, that's where I come from. That's the basics of everything. It's the basic of my story, and unfortunately, it's the part of the story that so often I never get to share.
Oh, this is great. Well, this is the part I want you to share then.
Yeah, because we just say, well, this and this has happened. Apart from God, then I wouldn't be an entertainer.
Okay.
Or anything like that. I was bitten by a dog when I was young. It was a bulldog, in the face. And Jason could pop up a picture of it. That's me with my mom. And I had like 6 years off and on of plastic surgery, the kind that makes you handsome. Okay, it worked. And but it's where they put skin from the other parts of your body, and they rebuilt my face. And most of this right here, can't see it on the radio, but most of it's my butt now. But it looks good. I just have bad breath a lot because it's my butt.
Oh,
but but I was that kid in school that every time I talked and everything, people laughed and made fun. And we talked about that with your story.
And they made fun of you because you had the surgery.
Yeah, and my tongue would be swollen in the beginning, and this was only till about 8 or 9 years old. But my tongue would be fat from the surgeries, and that would be hard. There's words and sounds I can't make. My tongue just doesn't do it. And I'm so much better now than when I was. When I was a kid, because of my nerves, I stammered, I stuttered, and because I knew that I would get to a word and I couldn't say it, and I would just panic. And stuff. Also, spit comes out of my mouth and I get excited, and so we were kid about that and everything. And I was also placed in special ed classes, and we talked a little bit about that last week. That they called my class back in when I went to school with. They were called it was made fun of as the retard class, and I think a lot of people that's been called that understand what all goes along with that.
My gosh, I remember being when I was in school, and I remember hearing people say that about other people and thinking just how offensive that must sound, and how to be called that, it must be just petrifying.
Yeah. You know what the worst part of it all for me was? I believed it.
Yeah. Wow.
I just thought, well, I guess I'm a retard, and I guess I just can't do this stuff because the schoolwork was hard. But it was also, I use it as an excuse not to do stuff. Because I know I'm not. I know I can learn, and I could have done things, but I just didn't do it. I had no motivation to do it, and because I just figured that I just believed everybody. They must be way smarter than me, and that would have become a part in my magic career too later on. But I just didn't do it, and I was left-handed, and they wouldn't let you be left-handed.
No, why would they not let you?
Because it was, I went to Catholic schools, and we were taught by nuns. And it's not that nuns are mean, and well, it is a little bit, but no, I had great nuns and priests in my life growing up. But it was a right-handed world. Everything was right-handed, and they couldn't get sports equipment, couldn't get all this stuff, and so they wanted you to be right-handed. And if they caught you using your left hand, they would hit you. You'd have to stand, and they would hit me on the knuckles 10 times with like a yardstick for using that hand. And it took them about a year, but it was in the second time I went through the second grade. I loved it so much I decided to do it again. And but I was failed because of the speech and all that. And then they made me switch. And today, to this day, it's funny, I do all my magic left-handed, but anything a nun could probably see, I do right-handed. And
wow.
So I had to learn how to throw a ball. But I thought I wasn't an athlete. I thought, well, you're no good at that because you can't. I didn't know.
Because you were playing the sports wrong-handed.
Right. And I thought,
wow.
I never thought that it was wrong-handed. I just thought, you idiot, you can't even use the right hand. You know, that this is the correct hand, the right hand, and I don't know how to do it. And it was much easier for me to use the other one, but I never really thought about left-handed was okay. I thought something was wrong. So it was just something else that added. So it caused me a lot of grief and stuff, and I was removed from the Catholic schools because of the special classes I had to attend, and I was sent to the public schools. And sometimes the teasing there was way worse. I realized how much the nuns protected me. And you don't realize that until they're gone. And but going there into the public schools and stuff. And one of the things, and it's really funny because we have some of the stories that are a little bit of the same. Jason got in a junior senior play. You talked about doing that. And that's exactly what happened to me. Was they used to come in our class, and we would have to clean up rocks. And at the football field, we did clean the cafeteria up.
This is what your class did.
Yeah.
They were just trying to find a way to keep you busy.
Yeah, they were just keep these guys kind of busy and whatever. And so the drama teacher, Sherry Brandstetter, if you ever find her, I would love to kiss her hand and thank her for what she did. But she invited our class to come in there and be hippies. And this play
invite your class to do what?
To be a part of this play, the junior senior play.
Yeah.
And it was called Big Rock at Candy Mountain. I'll never forget it. I played Jeffrey. And but I was some guy had really, really long hair. And I had long hair because my dad had put Nair in my hair when I was young because I put Nair in my sister's eyebrows. And while she was asleep, and I thought this would be funny.
Lord.
She thought she had cancer, and it was a Nair when she washed her face, they just fell off. But so as a punishment, my dad put it in my head, and my hair fell out in hunks. I had to wear a toboggan for almost a whole year in school. But I didn't cut my hair again. I kind of rebelled. And so by the time she came into that class, I had pretty long hair for a guy. And so she said, y'all will be great hippies. So we were all hippies. And during the play, they needed somebody to come out in their underwear and tell like a little joke and dance around crazy and during this rock concert. And none of the cool kids would do it. And I mean, I'm like a tree. We're just walking around. We don't have no parts or anything. And she said, she just looked at me, Miss Brandstetter, and she said, Steve, she knew my name. She said, hey, Steve, you're funny. Would you dance around in your underwear? Mm-hmm. And no one had ever told me I was funny.
Okay.
And especially a teacher. And so I just remember going, you bet I will. And but I didn't want to tell her joke. I had too big of a talking line, and I was too nervous, and I said I couldn't do this. So she came up with a way that all I had to do is say like one word, and they put us in a tent with another guy, and the tent would blow all off, and then I would come out dancing, and he would say the line.
Okay.
And so, which might not look so good being in a tent, one guy in his underwear, and another, but no one paid attention. But it was a funny scene, and everybody laughed. And you mentioned this last week too, when you said, to be laughed at for a different reason. And that was my first time of ever experiencing, like, the good laugh, and the laugh where you go, wow. I want this to happen a lot. I really like that.
Right.
So I spent about 6 months in my underwear, and that didn't work out too good. But I just wanted to be that funny guy.
Yeah.
And because of that, it changed my life, because the football team asked me to try out for football. Guys, so I mean, I never hardly got in, but I played and made friends there, and I started doing stuff in school. It gave me so much more confidence, because they just knew me as the funny guy.
Yeah.
And so that was all going to lead to me doing magic. But in the meanwhile, while this is happening, I still have the demons of growing up an alcoholic father, and still thinking that I'm not very smart and everything like that. And in high school, I tried to take my life. I did it twice. First time, not serious. Second time, it's a big part of my faith. I mean, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for God.
Wow.
And, my plan was not to be here. I was checking out, and I took the easy way. It was a stupid thing, the stupidest thing that a human can do, I think, sometimes, especially for a young guy to just decide his life is not worth living. But that's what I decided. I wanted out.
So did you make that decision based on something specific that happened in a moment and you said, I'm done? Or was it just the buildup over time and then you just said, you know what, I'm finished?
It was probably a little bit of both. One of them was I had done some stuff. I'd gotten in a lot of trouble, and got kind of beat up by my parents pretty good and stuff. And it was just that, doing, taking drugs, taking pills, and alcohol. I had everything in, and I just wanted out. Okay. And I said, this is it. Who cares? And I overdosed on enough that should have killed me. But my roommate, Ronnie Stone, was a great football player at Butler High School in Louisville. He found me and called the police, and they took me in and pumped my stomach, and somehow, God gave me a second chance. Wow. To do this. And then I ended up in kind of a rehab hospital for people. And I didn't know this until my dad died young. He drank a lot, and he died when he was 52. And I found out at his funeral. I wasn't home when he died. I had run away, because again, that's what I did. I ran away from life, from problems, and when things were bad, I just ran away. And I had run away, and he had called his brother here in Nashville and asked for help. And I don't find this out until at his funeral. And then his brother sent his son, Ronnie Bargatze, who's a coach here in Nashville, coached at Vanderbilt University basketball with Roy Skinner in the 70s. And Ron came up through town and he kind of checked me out of this place and took me home to his house. And he showed me like what a normal life should be. Mm-hmm. I mean, and what a normal family should be, and how to be treated and stuff. It was so different. I remember I lied to them. The first time I lied to him, and Melinda was one of the greatest people in my whole life. It was his wife, and I just loved her more than I still do. I didn't want to hurt her feelings, but she didn't want me to do something, and so I lied about it and did it anyway. And then when she found out, it broke her heart, and she started crying and just saying, "I trusted you. I can't believe." And I just remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, hit me! Pick up something, a belt, and hit me, or do the don't cry." Because I didn't. I mean, so I knew then I would never do that again to her, or to him. I wasn't going to lie to them. That it was important that I tell the truth, and stuff. And when I got physical with my mom and dad, they broke my collarbone, was broken, and I had to have surgery. And Ronnie and them they got me the surgery I needed. And I remember that one day she came in there. This is such dumb. It just shows you what happens in life. I don't usually tell all. I don't know why I'm telling this now, but she told me. She said, "You stink," and I'm 19 years old or so. So I go, well, I had just had that surgery. My arm was taped up here, and so she said, "Get some shorts on and get in the tub," and she bathed me to get the.
So she showed you what unconditional love looked like.
Jason, I'll just never. I just remember my face thinking, "Why is this woman touching me? And why is she being nice? And why would you do that to somebody?"
Yeah.
And stuff. I didn't have that growing up, and that was another thing life changing to me. Mm-hmm. That was another one of those moments when I just knew that the love I felt from her that I've never forgotten, and nor will I ever lose it or anything. And them going to church was very important. That was part of the rules I had to establish with them. So it was so at this time I'm trying to figure things out. I started attending church with them. And then in the meanwhile, this is such a long way to go around about magic.
No, it's great. But, it's fantastic.
I did that in podcast too. So that's one. So
here, hand it to me. Let me just make sure we're good. It looks good, no problem. Okay.
All right. So I put it in my front pocket. So I go to a McDonald's, and one day and eating, and there was a guy named Tom Hart, who was probably might have been that third guy you saw at Gary Hayes' magic shop.
Okay.
And Tom was Ronald McDonald, and he was doing shows, and he did the newspaper trick. And I'm eating there eating lunch, and he's out in the parking lot doing this show called Miles for Smiles, I think, or whatever. It was Ronald's show. And it blew me away. I just remember going, what in the world? The clown. And I had never seen live magic. And so I had nothing to do that day, so I stood in line and met this guy. And I asked him, how do you do it? And he told me, well, you just get a book. And at that time, I had not really done, I wasn't a reader, had never read a book or anything like that. And I kind of went away, he could tell I was down, and I said, I don't read books. And I come back here, and he showed me a trick. He showed me how to make a card disappear in your hand. Mm-hmm. And he said, you learn that, come back, and I'll teach you another trick once a week or whatever. So I did. I started doing that. So, that was my introduction into magic. But right away, Ronnie, with the people who I was still living with, said, you're not doing this. You're not spending your whole paycheck, because I did spend my whole paycheck on magic the very first time. The next time I got paid, he would go, where'd your check? Oh, it's gone. But I have some tricks for you. And so he said, nope, that ain't happening. So I knew quickly that if I was going to buy magic, I had to make money with magic. And so I was working in a little grocery store, and Tom said, you just put a birthday party together. And so you can charge and start doing birthday parties. And so he was Ronald McDonald. And so again, he was my mentor. So I'm going to be like him. I become a clown. I became Yo-Yo the Clown.
Yo-Yo the Clown.
And I'm the guy, if you look at my son's first album, it's called Yelled At by a Clown. And if you look that up, and maybe Jason.
We'll put it, I'll put it on the show notes.
You'll see that I look a lot like Ronald McDonald, probably illegally looking like Ronald McDonald. But I was, because I would go when he got ready, I got dressed and everything. So the first part of all my show and I started doing birthday parties. And then they were paying like $25 to $50 back in the 80s. That was a lot of money to me, and bought a lot of magic. And so I pretty well stood to that for a long time. I started buying tricks with that. Got hired at Opryland theme park as a clown.
Oh, what a great theme park that was back in the day.
Yeah, it was here in Nashville. And I did a show by the Laughing Tree. It was a clown, and I did that newspaper trick that Tom fooled me. I did it 5-6 times a day.
Oh my gosh.
And I got really good. And what happened there, we're going such a long.
No, but this is important because I've heard you talk about this before. This is how you developed this is your signature style. This is the part of the story where you became who you are as an entertainer today.
Right. The other performer at the park quit. Somehow got fired, or he got fired or quit. I don't know. He had to get fired. So it was only me. And so now they said, you got to work 7 days a week because it's open all the time. And I was doing every show. And I was trying to be really nice and sweet and all this stuff.
You were trying to be like every magician typically does when they first start or when they're performing.
So I decided I can't do this. This is too much work and it's too hard, and I didn't want to be a theme park magician or a clown the rest of my life. So I'll tell them I'm going to quit. And they showed me what a contract is. That's surprising. And that
this says you can't quit.
And so I remember coming home to my wife almost in tears, like, I tried. They won't even let me quit. And she said, well, make them fire you. And I thought, that is a great idea. So what I started doing, I figured, what's the best way to get fired from a theme park is I'll be mean to kids.
Okay, you're going to be mean to kids.
I was going to become this mean clown, and like today it would probably fit in a haunted house, but back then there wasn't many mean clowns. But I was just like a little, what looked like I was rough, and I feel like I perfected this technique where it looks like I'm way rougher than the kid than I actually am. I'm not really doing anything harmful to the little boogers. But I just started kind of treating them, different, and would say stuff probably back then no one had ever heard. And one of the signature things I did was I had this box that would break apart when the kid opened it.
Okay.
And a handkerchief would appear in there. But right next to me was a water ride that would go up. The log flume would come around, and when it came down, it was right beside where my show was. But water would come and go over this bridge, and people would sit there and get soaked. But some water, about 2,000 gallons, came sideways in between our two shows and down into this drain. And there was a big rock there. I would set the kid on the rock. I would blindfold him, and I had it timed so I could say, here, put the kid on the... And so the handkerchief would disappear. About the time I throw it over there, this water would hit this kid holding the box, and they would disappear.
Like, disappear in the water?
They would be down in the drain. And but they'd get up all wet, and the box would be all to pieces, and I'd yell at them for doing it. And it was such a great moment, because what happened, one, I don't like kids. I say I don't, and in my show I always go, I hate kids and stuff like that. And
but you don't?
No.
Yeah.
Don't show this to your kids. I want them to think I do. But I think I play with kids, and this has become part of the play. What people didn't know is before this day, back in the 80s, people dropped kids off at theme parks for babysitting, really. I mean, parents would buy season passes, go to work, drop them off, go to work at 9, come back and pick them up on the way home. So you had them there all day. Mm-hmm. And what do? They ride their rides in the morning. They go to the same magic show every day. And I was having to hear them, I've seen this, dude. You know, of course you've seen it. You were there 3 times today. And
right.
So when I started doing this, they started begging to be that kid.
The kid who got hit by the water.
They all wanted to be him.
Yeah.
And so I'd blindfold them. They never knew when it was going to hit, so they would be shaking. I was there like, I'm about to be hit any minute now. But it was such a funny show, and it became really, really, really popular. But it changed my whole persona on who I am and what I am. That the way I go about my show, where it looks like I'm a little harsh. And Jason, we can show a video clip here of me kind of without the makeup. Mm-hmm. Doing it with this kid.
Oh yeah, sure. We'll show that.
We'll put that in here. How y'all doing? I'm not from around here. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. Wow, just glad to be here. Just so you know, I talk funny. It's not because I'm from Nashville, or it's a little bit because I'm from Nashville. But I was bitten by a dog, and when I was young, and I had like 6.5 years of plastic surgery, the kind that makes you real handsome, and it worked. That's where they take skin from the other parts of your body and they rebuild your face. 6.5 years of surgery, true story. Most of my face is my butt. It looks good, but I have bad breath a lot. But if I get excited, you people might get wet. I didn't know, in fact, I thought this was the adult kind of thing. I didn't know there was going to be kids in the audience. They didn't tell me that. God, I hate kids. And, there's one. See, because here's what's happened. We come out there at the magic show. Some of you brought your kids hoping that we get the little booger up here and do something with them or something. God, we hate doing that. But if you don't, somebody will complain, and since I'm one of the last acts, we have to get a kid up here. We had a little girl up there. She's real cute. Let's get a little goofy boy. Here, come here. Yeah, take your time. What's your name? Craig. Big deal. Did your dad even clap when that guy asked if you love your children? Did you look at that? I would at least kind of peeked over there. Did you say Craig? Greg? Craig. Craig. Okay, whatever you want. And how old are you?
11.
Big deal. When I was your age, I was 12. I'm a lot 20. I am way ahead of you. Here's what's going to happen, Ray. We're going to play a little game. You're going to lose. Is that all right? I'm going to be honest with you. Most magicians aren't nice. I'm pretty nice. I'm letting you in. You're going to lose. You're not going to win. Can you handle that? If you cry, they're going to hate you. Don't cry. You're big enough not to cry. You're not going to cry, are you? Don't cry. Play the game, lose, sit down like a man. Now, I'm going to be really honest with you, though. It don't cost you money. You just get a chance to win. But I'm going to be honest. I know you didn't grade right. You told us your name, but a lot of old people here later on, when they see you, they're not going to remember your name. They're going to go, oh, there's that loser. Most people wouldn't tell you that, but I'm telling you up front, can you live with that? It could be a hard life. All right. Here's the game. I got 3 wallets, numbered 1, 2, and 3. Inside here, I got hidden some money. Just $1. You're just a kid. And but if you find it, it is no trick. You're going to win. But you're not going to find it. Because I know how your little pea brain works. You think I'm old. You think old people can't remember things. So you think since I'm old, I'd put the $1 in 1, help them remember. But there's 3 wallets. I could have put it in number 3. If you were a girl, you would pick number 2. All the girls pick number 2. Now your little mind's all freaked out there, isn't it? You're going, oh, maybe he doesn't want me to take 2, but the girl thing, that got me. I'm not going to pick that, but I thought it. You don't know what to say. But I'm just going to tell you, you're going to pick, lose, go sit down. Doesn't matter to me, 1, 2, or 3. Loud voice, which one you want?
3.
You said 2?
3.
You said 3.
Yeah.
No one's ever picked 3. Except that one lady, and she had a monkey with her. I should have figured something was going to go wrong. What's in there?
$1.
Take it out. See why I hate kids? Now get out of here. You ain't gonna believe this. Inside number 1, inside number 2, I had $10 bills. Not so smart now, are you? I know it's going to happen. Somebody out there got their feelings hurt. Oh, he was a little mean to the little boy or something like that. I always mess. I don't hate. Come back up. Is that your family there? That other kid? I really don't care. If you want to bring the other guy with you, I'm going to be nice. Come up. I'm going to give you guys a great chance real fast. You're not going to believe this. This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Magicians are not allowed to do this, but I am going to break all the rules. I am going to allow you to watch my next trick from behind. So it's like a lesson. You learn how all this trick is done by watching a magician in behind. All you do is stand right here, put your hands behind your back so you don't be messing with all that other stuff. Figure out how that girl flies. Not near as good from the back. But don't move. Watch the trick. You know how it's done. Okay. That guy, he was getting on my nerves. All right, that was it. Sorry. The kid, the curtain closed on him. It was very, very funny. There's some things that happened in between. But for me, that's such a funny moment in a show. The kid around. Again, I really feel like I play. Because I know when I was on cruise ships, sometimes some people look at my show and they think, well, I think, golly, he's mean to the kids. He should never do that. But then they don't realize that after the show, the kids are following me around. When I'm not working, and just anywhere, I have all the kids behind me because they all want to. They get it. Yeah, whether it's play or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
They understand that you've taken the time and
right.
and that they're a part of all of this stuff.
Right. And no, I agree. I absolutely. I think that no, there's something that happens, and it has its own magic where like the relationship that you have with your on stage helpers and they can just tell, even like the way, like I've seen you, like you'll touch somebody on the shoulder or like right on the upper arm, and it's like that reassuring way that you're letting them know, hey, we're in this together.
Right. And I think that's why I don't have a beard or anything like that, because I want to be able to smile enough to do something in my face to let this kid know, hey, I'm kidding you.
Yep.
We're at play.
Yep.
But so I mean that's the magic part. But the obstacle for me was my education. By having the fear, I realized I was getting old. I wanted to get out of the makeup and just do it as a magician. But in the meanwhile, while all of this is happening, part of the deal with Ronnie and Melinda was that I go back to that I finish my education and get a degree, and so I can do what I want. Because education is just such a powerful thing. And so he left Vanderbilt and went to Trevecca Nazarene College here in Nashville, and he takes me up there, and they accept me when they shouldn't have accepted me. Mm-hmm. But they give me a chance because of him. And I had to take, of course, all the classes that I should have took in high school. The first year.
Yeah, remedial classes. Yeah.
I paid a lot of money for those classes. Where I should have went back to finish high school, I would have got it for free. But and I did really well in it. But my wife was helping me a whole lot and stuff. And I was married I got married really young with her, Carol. And, she's a major part in any success I might have, and the success of our children and everything. But me and her both went back to school, basically. I'm the one with
she didn't really want to, but she did. Yeah.
Hey, honey, help me do this. Most kids help their kids with homework. She had to help me and stuff. But and I ended up graduating in 4 years from Trevecca, and that was at the same time I was at Opryland, so from 80 to 84. And I had 4.0s, which kind of showed me at the end, my last 2 years, I wasn't stupid.
You had been told that your entire time in high school and maybe middle school, and now it was like this.
Not only have I been told, I believed it. So
Yeah.
I think that's the thing for me is I quit believing. I quit listening to the people. Mm-hmm. And I realized I went and found out for myself that it wasn't easy. I had to learn to read. I had to learn how to make myself read, almost like working out. And the more I did it, the better I got at it.
Yeah.
I used to couldn't read 2 pages in a book without falling asleep. Now I read your whole book in one day, which that would have never happened growing up and stuff. So you just keep doing it, keep trying. But it did help me to learn on magic books and stuff that I like.
Sure.
And so I found an area and something I wanted to do. And the whole time I'm in school, I really thought that I didn't think I was going to be a professional magician, but I used magic as a way to make money while I was in school and stuff like that. I really always struggled. I didn't want to be one of these guys, an entertainer, where his wife makes all the money and the insurance and everything, that I wanted to be able to pay for it.
Right.
I told her I would take care of her. I wanted to be able to do that personally. And so I really always worked really, really hard. And I've been very blessed to have a show that people want.
Right.
And,
and let me tell you, it's interesting because I've seen you do your show that is just 100% comedy and magic, and it is so strong. It is so good. I truly believe that you are. I've been in the magic business a very long time. I believe you are as good as the best. I mean, I would put you up there as one of the best comedy magicians in the world, that comparable to all the, there are a number of people that we could name and say these are the best. And I would say, you have your own style, you have your own way of doing it, and I think, and I've told you this before, this is how I feel, but you can do it just for the entertainment purposes only. But you also have like when you go out and talk. Like, this is really strong, the way that you affect people when you share your story.
Yeah.
How did you start sharing your story?
My church asked me to speak to the youth group because someone had heard I was involved in all this junk in life, and they said, just come and just share your testimony. I became a believer in Christ, and I heard so many different people tell their testimonies and about what God did to them and things like that. And I thought, well, God did a lot in my life. And he gave me that second chance and an opportunity and stuff. I mean, and he's blessed me in so many ways. And I think that's the part of the story I wanted to tell. It was that it doesn't have to end the way you planned. Like, my plan was not to be here.
Yeah.
And
wow.
So God had other plans for me. I got to marry my only girlfriend. I mean, seriously, the only girlfriend I really, really had was Carol, my wife. We met in the 8th grade with the "Do You Like Me" letter. And I sent 17 of those out. But I got one back, so keep sending them. You'll get them. But we got married young, and didn't have to, but we just did. And we kind of grew up. Her father was also an alcoholic. And so we kind of had that in common in one way. And I mean, I know you hear people say you marry your best friend. I've married almost really my only really friend I had.
Wow.
Was Carol. And we've been together since we got married in 1976. So long over 40 years now.
Yeah.
That I've known her longer than I've known anybody, and been with them and stuff like that, and with her more than anybody. And so she has been a major part in all of this life. And so when I first got into the education, I thought I had to do that. I studied teaching, because again, I'm doing what my mentor taught me, Tommy. He was a math teacher at McGavitt High School. And so I thought I'll be a math teacher and stuff. And so then I ended up in Texas. And in the meanwhile, I hadn't been home and seen my parents since I was young. So all of this is going on, and I have not really been around them. And that's when my dad died, and that was when. So even after he died, I stayed away from them after the funeral for a long time. And I regret that. I have a great family, a good brother, and 3 sisters that are just fantastic, and things like that. And so it's been, it's been all worth it. The thing with me and my wife, we have 3 kids because we didn't want 4. We thought 3 is enough. And Nate Bargatze is my son that does comedy, and the Tennessee Kid on Netflix. But my other son, Derek, was a missionary in Uganda. And he has 4 children because there wasn't a lot to do in Uganda. So, no, his wife's a midwife. He's communication. He's a teacher and just a great guy and stuff like that. And he gave me my first grandkids. My daughter also has 2 grandkids. He's given me 2, so I got total of 7 now.
Wow.
And to think about all this, see, I always go, this is my story, to think that I almost threw it away.
So this sounds to me like if there's one thing that you would want to, I know there's so many lessons we could take away from this, but is this like the lesson to take away?
This is I would say the gist of my message with kids is that you just don't know. There's so much that we don't know. When I was young, I just thought life sucked and it was terrible and it would never get better. You're not that all your obstacles and all your impossible things is impossible, and you just don't realize it. And yet there's another step. Something good God considers all things are good.
Yeah.
For those that love Him, and so God has a way of making things good, and there's just a way of things happening. Because of that, and we're going to talk about this one day, but my wife's got kidney cancer, and prior to the kidney cancer, my wife did almost everything at home. I did my job, and I went and did shows, and I was this or that, but she did my laundry, and she did all the cooking, and she pays the bills and stuff, and now, when she got sick, I was, oh my gosh, and our life changed. And so I had to learn to do the cooking. I had to learn to take care of that and I'm a better person because of that. And I'm a better husband, way better. Because, I mean, her illness, as bad as it was, and God has taken her through all of this, but as bad as it was, it made me a better husband to her. So even though we go through some of these things, and me trying to take my life, as bad as that was, God has taken me through that.
It gives you a different perspective.
Yes. Yeah. So the better everything, just the better of everything. Yeah. And I just turned 65 years old. 65. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Just
think about how many people whose lives you have affected, not just through entertainment, certainly through laughter and fun and amazement, but think of how many people's lives because you speak to hundreds of groups every year.
Right. Probably over average until the pandemic. I was averaging around 80 to 90,000 teenagers a year.
Yeah.
That's just teenagers, not counting anything else.
Right.
And stuff. So, and that's all throughout the state and everything like that. So God has given me a great opportunity to talk about it. I don't always get to talk about his part that he played because they are in schools. But I just want them to know that there is another chance, and that things can get better. You just got to hang. I don't see the people that made fun of me when I was young and stuff. They're not a part of my life. I got people that respect what I do, but also they're just good friends.
Right.
And good thing. I got my family, and what better can you have? It's just I can't imagine not having the things I have. Yet I was so close to not having the things I have.
Yep.
By doing something that was that crazy.
And that's a very sobering thought.
Yeah, very much so.
So, I want to hear if you have any favorite stories or career highlights that jump out at you. But just to mention that you do speak to different groups. You speak to church groups. You speak to high school groups and middle schools. You also speak to corporate groups. If someone is interested in having you come and speak to their group, whether it's a corporate group or a conference or whomever or wherever, go to your website.
Yeah, they can go there and drop a message. Courtney Brunette, my manager, will get back with you and set all that stuff up. I'm with the Tennessee Secondary School Athletic Association. They're the ones that get me into 90% of my schools. And so if you're a part of Tennessee, you can get me for almost free just to come to your school. And most of the schools know about that. And we're still doing shows even during the pandemic. We've, I've learned to stay away, and we've developed a show for during this time, and with the distancing and things like that. So we're still out here doing it.
That's
and,
great.
So hopefully that they can get it. I've had so many highlights, Jason, that that it's, for me to say one thing or another, God has allowed me to do almost everything in magic I ever wanted to do.
I mean, we haven't even mentioned that you're the international president. You're the grand poobah. Or do we call you king, or how does that work? You're you're the chief, the main guy for the largest fraternal organization of magicians, the International Brotherhood of Magicians. You're at the very top of that. This is your year to do that.
Yeah, the pandemic. So
the pandemic year.
And we'll put a picture in here, one of my favorite pictures, but wearing all the chain. This is the chain you're looking at in the picture, which has every former president of the International Brotherhood's name written on it.
Yeah.
And my name, so it's history, and I'll go down in history. And what can you say about that other than the honor that it is?
Yeah.
And I happen to have won their major contest. I know that you came in second.
Yeah, I like how you brought that up.
Twice. But I was happened to win in the year 2000, and that was kind of a life-changing moment in the magic career thing, and which also eventually led to the point where I've always wanted to give back to the people. Mm-hmm. And that's why that's why I talk to kids and stuff. I just want you to know that you said this in the last one, that I think we all have problems, everybody has disabilities in some way or another, but we can overcome them and stuff.
We're here
To go up and be a special ed kid, but end up going to college. That doesn't happen all the time, but it can.
Yeah.
And that's my message is it can.
Yeah.
And you can, and we don't, I can't live my life blaming my parents or blaming my childhood or this or that for the things I didn't do. My parents didn't make me not go to class. They didn't make me not read books. They didn't make me, I did all those. I made all those bad decisions myself.
Right.
And so I had to take enough of it on myself to know that if I'm going to improve, these are some things I can do. That I just want people to know it's possible.
It's a very powerful story, and I love hearing you deliver it, and I love seeing how you affect people in real time, real audiences, and hopefully this pandemic will be over soon, and we'll be in front of a lot more audiences.
Right.
So this has been the Do the Impossible podcast. Of course, part of doing the impossible is overcoming the adversity that we all deal with at different points in life. But another reason it's called the Do the Impossible podcast is because you and I are magicians. So will you do us the honor of a magic trick?
Sure.
All right, Stephen's
And anybody
going.
interested, magician.org is the website for the International Brotherhood of Magicians. You can go on to that and look up and you can become a member and join, and you can learn great tricks. You get a monthly magazine that teaches a lot of stuff, but also you get to read and hear about what's going on in the magic world and things like that. And it's a good way to connect and stuff.
Absolutely.
But we're going to be seeing a lot of card tricks during this
on the podcast.
So I thought, well, I want to start the show off with not doing a card trick. And this is perfect for the pandemic, Jason. I know this doesn't look.
What is this device? We've got light bulbs and switches and.
Yeah, for those on the radio, this is you're just going to hear a bunch of clicking. But those of you watching this will be worth to turn it on and see it. But I like to always reinvent myself and think of things. So during the pandemic, me and my wife were thinking we live in a little condo now. When she got sick, and then I said, I need to learn maybe rewiring and doing some stuff.
Rewire the condo?
Yeah, just, for the heck of it. I know nothing about electricity, but I said I can teach myself anything. So I made this little board, and this stuff, if you hit this little blue switch, it's a switch with a blue panel on it. It'll turn on that blue light bulb.
Okay.
There's not much to that, Jason. The yellow will turn on the yellow, the red turns on the red, and the green turns on the green. But you can see how it works. So it doesn't really matter. Just remember green, yellow, and then the red, and then the blue.
So yeah, every one that you flip turns on the same colored light bulb. Got it.
Yeah. So if you're starting to do this, this is what you're going to end up with. But then the magic part of me started thinking about and mixing up. So I started coming up with this.
Okay, so you're unscrewing light bulbs.
I'm unscrewing the blue in front of the blue and the green. And Jason, we're going to start with this green. And I want you to tell me which place would you like me to put it, not in front of the green.
Put it in front of the yellow one.
The green goes in front of the yellow.
So the green one is in front of the yellow switch now.
All right, and then let's do the blue. Where would you like it?
How about the red?
The one down.
The blue light bulb is now going in front of the red switch.
Okay, and then the red.
I guess we'll just put it over. Put the red light bulb in front of the blue switch.
Okay, and that leaves the yellow for the green.
Yep, so we're going to put the yellow light bulb in front of the green switch. So we have the light bulbs are all mixed up in front of different colored switches now.
But this is what I found out, just in the magic world and stuff, that even though we do this is the part I didn't quite understand, but the red still turns on the red. And the green turns on the green.
Dude, what?
The blue turns on the blue, and the yellow turns on the...
What?
So no matter, even if you switch, the green light, do it. The red will always turn on the red. The blue will always turn on the red. The blue, yellow, green, green.
That's weird.
You took it even a little farther.
Okay.
If you take the caps off.
You're taking off the colored caps in front of the switches?
Yep.
And you're changing the caps. So the switches are still where they are, but you've changed the colored caps on top of the switches, and you just put the red cap back in front of the red light bulb, the green cap in front of the green light bulb, and so forth.
Yes, so everything still lines up. You can see I have not changed the light bulb, but the red will still turn on the red.
What?
The green turns on the green, and the blue and the yellow turns on the yellow and stuff. So it doesn't really matter what you did. So what we've done is I have rewired my house this way, and just to see, which is really quite interesting, because if you want the living room light on, you now have to go in the bathroom and turn it on. And if I turn on the front porch light, it turns the kitchen on. So my wife's not too happy I got into all of this.
Okay.
The way that we did. But
that is what a cool piece. Wow, that's a great
Yeah.
piece of magic. I love that.
I've had that trick for over almost 35 years, and I never used it. It just sits in my magic room for when somebody comes over. I go, let me show you this.
So basically, the electrical engineering conferences need to hire you to come.
I worked it for Central Hardware. I was doing a trade show, and I was selling some kind of new light bulbs. And
you did that?
Yeah, so
Oh,
I bought the
great.
trick for that, and then after that job was gone, I've never actually did it again.
That's hilarious.
But next week, guys, it won't be. You've heard about us, and you know who we are.
Yep.
And again, any questions or anything like that, feel free to write and drop them by. Send it to us, and we'll go over if anybody has any questions or anything like that.
Yeah. If we have people who have inspiring stories that would like to share them with us, send us an email.
Yeah, just let us know and everything. We have our first guest.
Woo, I'm very excited about interviewing this guest. This is someone that you have told me about for years. Very impressive individual.
We think that Jason fights with a Tourette's, and I spit on people. But
that's what you're trying to overcome.
Brian Anderson got blown up in Iraq, and it makes what I go through.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
Like nothing to get for a guy to get blown up.
Yeah.
And everything. And he's got a book out that's another incredible read for people to read about a guy that's gone through all of that. I met him at a Wounded Warriors event in the USA Cares.
Okay.
And I'll let him, he'll tell you all that, but he's going to make us all feel like our problems were nothing compared to.
It's like, no. I'm very excited to talk to him.
He's a triple amputee. He lost both legs and his left arm. And but we'll get to meet him. So it's going to be worthwhile. Thanks for hanging through with us two.
Absolutely.
And finding out about us, but looking forward to sitting down with Brian.
And if you're enjoying the podcast, go ahead and hit subscribe. That way you'll know about future podcasts when they are released. It will be announced to you and you'll be able to check them out. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your story. My name is Jason. This is Stephen, and this has been the Do the Impossible podcast. We'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to Do the Impossible with Jason and Stephen. Please subscribe for future episodes. Our home on the internet is jasonmichaelsmagic.com/podcast. That's jasonmichaelsmagic.com/podcast. To contact us, please visit the website and fill out the form. Now go out and do the impossible in your world.